Hello, everyone. My name's James. Thank you very much for coming to the first of the new Nevada County online meetup group. Hopefully it will be, yes, woohoo. Hopefully what we're going to do, I'm going to sort of set the stage. My name's James. I'm one of the executive leaders in the NC Tech Connection. It's a technology sector partnership that's formed around technology companies in Nevada County in order to foster stronger growth in the technology sector. We've been gradually figuring a bunch of things out. We built the website nctechconnection.org. If you're not already listed on that site, you should. We picked up the Tectonic Tuesday evening presentations, and we've been bringing speakers in for that for about a year now, and we've just picked up the NCOnline initiative that kind of went by the board, and we're going to try to bring some energy into that. The high-level thought process that we have for NCOnline Meetup is that it will be a lunch and learn type exercise focused around digital and small micro businesses. So I'm going to take a few minutes just so that there's some value. Hopefully you'll find it valuable. To do kind of a online marketing 101, high level, some things to think about. Not going to take me very long. Happy to have conversation and questions about it. But what we're really looking for here is to get dialogue going on amongst you and with us so that we can craft the future NCOnline meetups in a way that really benefits the community, benefits the group that you all. What are you looking for? We have ideas around, building an arc over the course of the year around the sales funnel, building an arc over the course of the year around social media marketing. There's all kinds of choices we could make, but rather than being arbitrary, we'd really like to hear what you all have to say. That makes sense? I'm going to quickly... Thank you for the reminder, Eric. Eric and Jordan are two of the organizers. So if you've got any complaints, don't talk to me, talk to them. Pardon me?
Yeah, if you really like it, talk to James.
Yeah, if it's really awesome, you can talk to me, of course. Why don't we start by everybody introducing themselves? I've already introduced myself. I'm James Hipkin. I'm the CEO of Red 8 Interactive. We're a digital production studio. We build custom websites for companies nationally. I happen to live here. What I'm going to spend a little bit of time is not getting into the details. As I said at the beginning, we're hoping to have conversation afterwards around the details of what you all are looking for. But I'm going to try to set the stage on how you might start thinking about your online marketing. This is based on, I've been doing this, the gray hair may have given me away. I've been doing this a long time for a lot of large companies and folks that you would have heard of. Moved up here 3 years ago and we got the 20-somethings out of the house. Out you go. And it was, we're very happy to be here, and it's a wonderful community. So hopefully this will be worthwhile. I move around a lot. I'm interactive. If you've got a question or if you're something like, oh my God, what is that? Or I don't understand that word, please don't hesitate, interrupt, raise your hand. That's how people get all on the same page. I talked a little bit about my company and then I'll move on. Red 8 Interactive, we build websites. We typically build larger sites. The sort of smallest project we typically do, budgets run in the mid-teens, and then it'll go up into the 6 figures for the kinds of sites that we do. We've recently started marketing a new product that we're calling Innately, and this is a website being sold as software as a service, and it's specifically designed for micro businesses. We have a couple of beta customers locally. The Bamboo Home Store is one that you may recognize from Grass Valley. We just launched their new website using a beta version of this software. Truths. You don't have unlimited time, right? You don't have unlimited money. Well, Eric does, but you know. You don't have deep knowledge and skills in marketing. I don't think I do, and I've been doing this a long time. There's so much to learn. These are truths, and it's important to keep that in mind. Because one of the keys to success is that, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't make it complicated. There's such a tendency and so much inertia out there to make it complicated. If you can take nothing away today except for one thing, don't make it complicated. It doesn't need to be. Another thing is perspective. This is a little harder to get your head wrapped around, and I'll get into that in a bit more detail. But outside in versus inside out. And I'll tell you a quick story about this. One of my last assignments in the advertising agency world before I semi-retired and started working from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night. My wife can give you an interesting perspective on that concept of semi-retired, but was Toyota. And we did the marketing for Toyota in Northern California, and we were part of launching the Prius. The rest of the country launched the Prius against we're hybrid. They talked about the technology. They talked about hybrids and batteries and all this stuff. We decided not to do that. Much objections from the folks at Toyota, but we did manage to win the argument. We launched the Prius as an economical family car because it was hybrid. We sold more Priuses in Northern California than the rest of the country combined because we took an outside-in perspective on the marketing. We went out and said, what is the problem that our target consumer needs solved? And then how can this product solve it? Versus the inside out, which is, we have batteries and we are hybrid and we have technology and aren't we awesome? Buy us. Fundamental difference. And it's not just we want to do things differently, they're trying to attract people who are trying to do things differently. And I actually worked with Apple earlier in my career. I have the dubious honor of being on the team that launched the original iPod. Wasn't about the technology. I mean, Jobs in meetings would say, look, the technology's crap. It's not about the technology. It's about solving a real problem. And the real problem wasn't even the iPod. The real problem was the iTunes store. It was distribution, wasn't technology. So your perspective is the big old box. It's big, it's square, it's all around you, it's all encompassing. Their perspective is a little tiny dot. It's not even the same shape. They're looking at things, you're just part of a whole morass of things that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So when you're thinking about outside in, you've also got to think about perspective. What you think is important may or may not be in terms of what the dot thinks. So when you're thinking about online marketing, you're dealing with the internet. There's lots of stuff going on out there. I mean, even your big square is infinitesimally small dot in most people's attention span. So that's again why the outside-in strategy makes a lot of sense, because if you're touching nerves, this is a real problem that I really have, you're much more likely to get their attention. Consumers value what benefits them. They buy benefits, not features. Again, when we were marketing the Prius, highly economical family car. That's a benefit. Why could you believe that? Well, because it's hybrid. reason to believe. And oftentimes, if you look at the features that are involved in whatever it is you're selling, those can be turned into reasons to believe for a benefit statement. That's what you're striving for. And when you're doing online marketing, it's very important to keep it simple, keep it very focused. Whatever media you're using to get the message out, make sure the message is very clean and very tight. Emotion is part of it. Some categories more than others, but to say that they just buy on emotion, it just doesn't make sense. And oftentimes emotion is maybe what it pulls people over the edge. But if you're making a large purchase decision, there's a lot of practicality involved in that. Now, nobody buys a BMW for practical reasons. Sorry. It's a super, super expensive car that's super, super expensive to maintain. That's not practical, that's emotional. It depends on the product, it depends on the category, but you're still speaking to a benefit, even if you're delivering an emotional message, it's still, you're solving a problem that your consumer has, and that's a benefit proposition. So whether it's emotional or practical, it's more of a tactical exercise in my mind. The strategy is about finding the benefit proposition. Customers, best customers. I'll tell you another story. Worked with Sprint back in the 80s or 90s, during the long distance wars, when AT&T was sending out $50 checks and MCI had friends and family. This was before wireless. I also worked on launching wireless category, but that came later. We, in the long distance side at Sprint, focused in on who our best customers were. Over the course of 5 years, no market share shifts. Everybody was battling it out, trying to get new customers. We had to play in that game too, but we also peeled off budget and went after existing customers, because 80% of category sales are generally generated by 20% of customers. Knowing who those 20% of customers are, who those heavy category users are, and making them happy can make a huge difference to your business.
Is this true across industries and verticals?
The specifics are probably not true.
Okay,
It's,
I don't think this is true for consumer business.
it is in consumer packaged goods, it's true. Absolutely, I've done the analysis. We worked with Nestle on this, and it's not necessarily 80-20, but it's not cars, for example. This doesn't really work that well. But for most businesses, particularly small businesses, your existing customers are an untapped resource. And just to finish the Sprint case study, by focusing in on best customers, by keeping them longer, by selling them more things, by getting them to advocate for us, we were able to grow revenue on a $2 billion base of business 20% year over year for 4 straight years with no market share change. Your customers are a tremendously useful and often overlooked opportunity for online marketing. If I'm to tap any kind of resource that they're not taking full advantage of, I'd be willing to bet you it's current customers. And and one thing to keep in mind, best customers, the 80-20 again, have a very different perspective on the category and the brand than regular customers. I've seen lots of situations where market research is done and they look at the middle of the bell curve and they've got all this information about people in general, but they've taken a homogeneous look at the target audience, when the truth of the matter is that the sales are not homogeneous. They're coming from a much smaller group of people. Understanding what your best customers are looking for and getting messaging out to them, it is a very easy and fast way to not only keep them longer, sell them more things, they're less expensive to manage, and they know how to work with your product, and they're much more likely to advocate. All of those are positives, They'll also attract other people like them because they're much more likely to advocate. How many know about RFM? So 2. 3. RFM, recency, frequency, monetary. This is a very old idea that's as valid today as it was when it first was developed back in the 1950s. It goes against the idea that the customer who bought from you most recently, who buys from you most frequently, and who spends the most money with you is the customer most likely to do it again. It's proven. It's irrefutable. It's been proven so many ways. There are large data targeting and analytics get very involved with, algorithms and targeting, et cetera. At the very root of what they're doing is this idea. This idea is very malleable in terms of talking about best customers and talking about best customers in your online market. How many people are actively using email marketing to their current customers?
Not enough.
Not enough. Probably not enough, and probably not specific enough.
A little side story on this concept is everybody here probably knows that Amazon just bought Whole Foods several months ago, and the main reason they bought it is to data mine, so they can find exactly this.
Yeah, I've worked with Amazon. They've got this down at the basis of what they're doing. We did a bunch of stuff with Levi's and Amazon a few years ago. It's so much of this is sitting underneath. I mean, a lot of the folks they don't even realize that this old idea is sitting underneath so much of what they do. Don't take advantage. If you believe this idea, you believe in best customers, every time somebody does a purchase online, there's a confirmation message of some sort. How many people have got a sales message in the confirmation message? 1, 2. That is a huge opportunity because they're engaged with you. They've raised their hand. They've given you money. They've said, we believe in what you're doing. They're much more likely to respond.
I give it 10% off at that message. Like if you return, you get 10% off. And that keeps me in the face.
Yep. So and that's a very simple, simplistic example of this.
I helped Sierra Harvest with marketing for the Food and Farm Conference, and we did exactly that. Everybody bought a ticket, encouraging them to invite a friend. It was very successful.
There you go. It's such a simple thing to do, and it works. But what I'm trying to communicate is the reasons why it works. Okay, key to success. Where's Eric and Sammy and it's like farming. Anybody know what the Magellan Fund is? It's a big giant mutual fund, very, very, very successful. And a guy named Peter Lynch ran the fund for many, many years. And he was being interviewed by the Wall Street Journal or one of the Forbes or one of the big business press folks. And they were expecting a big, long, involved conversation. They said, what's the key to success at the Magellan Fund? Well, water the flowers and prune the weeds. And then he just stopped. And the reporter was like, isn't there more to it than that? He said, not really. If stocks are going up, we buy more of them. If stocks are going down, we sell them. And it's the same in marketing. It's the same with customers. My droning on about best customers a few minutes ago. Water the flowers and prune the weeds. If it's working, do more of it. If it's not working, stop. Another old expression you're all familiar with. What do you do when you find yourself in a hole? Stop digging. It's like what I said at the beginning about KISS. Keep it simple. Don't try to do too many things. Do one thing, do it well, do it better, beat the control, and then once you've got this really dialed, then add something else in. Pick a tactic and do it well. Email marketing is boring. It's been around a long time. It has no glamour. It's not very exciting. You can't really talk about it at a cocktail party. It works. If you're doing it now, do more of it. If you're not doing it now, you ought to. And if you'll notice the thread of what I've been talking about with customers and best customers and outside in, email marketing is a great way to get back and forth going on with your customers. Facebook marketing also works, but beware the conflict of interest. You know what I mean by that? Facebook gets paid when somebody clicks on something. Somebody clicking on something may not be a good thing for you. How many people fall into the trap of, I can get you likes on your Facebook page. Wow, you got all these likes on your Facebook page. Who cares? I'd rather have 2 sales than 200 likes. Now, I'm being very black and white about it. It's not quite that simple. But just beware of the conflict of interest. Now, Facebook advertising can also be very, very effective, particularly if you've got skilled people who recognize the conflict of interest and know how to make it work for you. But it's not something for the faint of heart. Yep.
Can you explain, yes, of course, Facebook makes money when people click on links, but you should not be publishing any links and advertisements that do not also make you money, like it brings people to your site or to events or whatever. So, yeah, Facebook is pay to play, and there are a lot of challenges with that, but I'm not sure I would exactly categorize that as a conflict.
If you've got when I took over the digital budget for Toyota, they were not being very disciplined about it. They were spending 7 figures on digital media and with no measurement. They're just doing it. And Google was making a lot of money because they were generating lots of clicks, but those clicks weren't turning into anything. Just getting people to click on the link is fine, but the right people have to click on the link and they have to go to a situation where they can actually execute.
Right, but that in a lot of ways is your responsibility as a marketer to bring them to the right landing page
That's right.
that's consistent with the advertising experience
Yep.
they had, and they know exactly what to do.
Exactly right. And
Facebook and Google are not exactly working against you there.
right.
You can get
No, I'm not suggesting that they're working against, but understand what their motivations are. But to Jordan's point, you have to understand what your motivations are so that teeter-totter is balanced. So that when those click, first of all, the right people are clicking. That's about targeting and saying no to things. And then those people who are clicking and landing on your landing page are, in fact, converting at a reasonable rate. I used a word in there, landing page. How many people are using landing pages? Well, that's better than average.
custom landing pages for different audiences and channels and look at.
Yeah, it's the word that Jordan, custom. When I picked up the Toyota budget, they weren't using landing pages. Everything was going to the same homepage. We introduced a landing page strategy and we increased conversion by 60%. That simple change. Rather than having the ads go to, they went to pages that were specifically designed to match the messaging in those ads. A simple idea, but wasn't being done. Made a huge difference.
And pretty simple to execute too.
Yeah. It does take some work, but yeah.
Usually, I often would do basically the exact same template page, but with a different headline, a different image, and a different call to action based on whatever ad they want to click on. But it's not like reinventing the wheel.
Right. And it's in different offers.
And I also want to just be mindful of the time because
Yep.
it's called 45.
Okay.
So that if you want some time.
Yeah, I'm done basically. Online marketing, your website is the hub. Is yours up to the task? Is it responsive? the 5-second rule. You have 5 seconds to do 3 things. Assure them they're in the right place, give them a benefit-oriented reason to stay, and make it crystal clear what they ought to do next. If you honestly look at your web pages with that in mind, I'll bet you dollars to donuts, you're going to go, ooh.
Can you say that again? That was good.
You've got 5 seconds to do 3 things. Assure them that they're in the right place, give them a benefit-oriented reason to stay, and make it crystal clear what they ought to do next. For example, your main navigation should not have more than 4, ideally 3 choices. I look at sites, 8, 9, different things. How is somebody supposed to know what to do next if they've got so many choices?
Consumers don't do well with choices.
They really don't. Find the flowers. Test, measure, find your winner. That's again where landing pages can be very helpful. Which one, A/B split testing on landing pages, which one's working best? Test to beat the winners, rinse and repeat. One thing though, test big things. Don't test whether blue works better than green. Test whether a $50 offer that works better than a $100 offer. Big things. Now let's talk. How can Nevada County Online help you all? How can we organize speakers and folks to come in and discussions, panels? What would create value? Sales funnel, think about people's how engaged they are in the purchasing process. You've got a whole bunch of people who are just kind of aware that something exists, and then you've got a bunch of people who are in that category and maybe happy with what they're doing, and then you've got a bunch of people who are, actively prospecting, etc., and then you've got a bunch of people, much smaller group of people who are actively in buying mode. Well, that represents a funnel, and you want to craft your marketing to match that funnel. If you try to talk to everybody the same way, you're not going to be much of anything to anybody. But if you're talking like traditional advertising tends to speak to the top layer. That's where people talk about branding and awareness and all that good. And it's not saying it's bad. If you've got the budget, it's awesome, but it's out there just to get general understanding of what it is you stand for. And then you get into more tactical media choices and messaging around finding prospects, getting people to self-identify. And then it's about the landing pages and testing offers and that sort of thing. What is it that it takes to get people over the hill? And when I talked about beware the conflict of interest on Facebook and AdWords and channels like that, to some degree that's what you need to be thinking about is my Facebook advertising, I need to be, who am I targeting? What am I trying to accomplish with that effort? Am I trying to find prospectors and get them over to my offer and then get them to buy? It seems very obvious, but it's how you need to be thinking about this. Anyway, thank you all very much for taking some time. I really appreciate it, and we all appreciate it. And let us know what works for you. Let us know what you want.